Okay. Did you miss me? I'm back. I think it's been like 4 years since I posted on YouTube, and we'll get into that another day. That's not for today. But this one hair's in my eye. This month I read 4 books, she said, and waited for the applause. But no, I finished 2 books. Have I touched 4 books? Yes. Did I finish all 4? No. But we will talk about every last one of them instead, because I have decided, and because I am the ruler of this channel. So I don't know what to tell you. But either way, we're gonna go in order. So the first book I finished this month was The Holiday Switch. The book's by Tiff Marcello, and I rated The Holiday Switch, I think, a 4 stars. I should know what I'm talking about before I start talking. Okay, I rated The Holiday Switch at 3.75 stars, and the main issue for me was how slow it started. Okay, the actual review that I wrote for the book says, slow start, but finds its footing around chapters 8 through 10. Loved Teddy in the end, and felt like Lila was an alternate version of myself. This was my first ever holiday read, right? I've never like picked up a holiday book. I never I never read a holiday romance book ever, or just a romance book in general. Okay, we get ahead of ourselves. This is my first holiday read, so I don't know what I was expecting, but I didn't have like super high expectations, but I was expecting something, and I don't know if that book fully delivered on it, because I picked it up to get in like the Christmassy mood. This is a New Year's book. Like the big event that most of the plot is centered around happens on New Year's, and I do think that's important to note. Like, I think that if you're, because like I'm not saying that New Year's isn't a holiday. What I am saying is, if you're going to market yourself as a holiday book, and the people on the front have like Christmas lights and like, I think, or something like that on their sweaters, I would think this was a Christmas book. But the thing is, they live in a Christmas town. They live in like a really touristy, big on Christmas town. That's not, and maybe that's on me for not reading the back of the book for real. But I did read the back of the book for real. Girl, hold on. Right, I'm not tweaking. Nowhere in this book do they mention the fact that like this is a New Year's read. And the front has twinkle lights. So I thought it was a Christmas read, and it's not. But also, another issue I had with the book was just that like the whole, like, the book is called The Holiday Switch, right? So the whole thing is supposed to be like, oh, they switch phones and find out each other's secret, right? Or whatever they got going on. Whatever they got going on with that. But that happens in the first like 100 pages. Girl, then what else is the book about? The book is like 375 pages, and the entire back of the book happens within the first 100. Oh, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know where it was going from there. I'm not going to lie, I did enjoy the book. The beginning was rough. It was a really slow beginning. Did it pay off in the end? Come see, come saw. Kind of, sort of, not. Kind of, sort of. I think that because they were in high school, like, I don't have a problem reading YA romance books, but sometimes she felt like a read. Sometimes she felt a little too close to the person that I was in high school, and I was like, I don't want to relive this. I don't want to read this. So, like I said, sometimes it felt a little too close. It felt like a little bit too much of a read. And the ending is very like ambiguous, and a lot of people didn't like that, but I kind of like the fact that like the ending leaves you in like this everything's gonna be okay whatever way it turns out kind of way. Okay, I said a lot of bad stuff about the book first. Well, not bad stuff. I said a lot of the issues that I had with the book first. Let's talk about what I actually really liked. So, I'm a fan of like closed door romances, right? That's half the reason why I usually end up reading YA romances. Okay, it's like, y'all know what I'm talking about. It's like when you're reading enemies to lovers, and then the enemies kiss, and like it's like the tension built up through like most of the book, and then they kiss, and you're like, nah, whatever. You don't even want to finish reading the rest of the romance no more. That's how I feel. The tension in the book, when it builds up, that's the payoff for me. I personally feel like that's the payoff, and that's why I usually read YA romance books, because it's just tension. Like, it's just tension, and they'll kiss a couple times, and that'll be it. That's crazy. That's sick. I'm not saying that like using sex as a plot device is a cop-out. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is, I didn't like the first couple of romance books that I read because I felt like the sex was just too much and all over the place. It didn't really do anything to further the story. I feel like because sex is taken out of YA romance books, they have to further the story in other ways, whether it be tension or angst or whatever problem, plot device, whatever it is. They have to figure out another way to move the story along, because they're not going to use sex, because I don't want to read a book about minors having sex, and no one should read any books about minors having sex, ever. Anyway, yeah, so that's usually why I end up picking up YA romance books. And I think that this book does a really good job of like building up the tension between the two characters. And I don't even want to spoil it for real. Would I recommend this book? It was cool. It was cool. It's not the first book I'm going to recommend. Would I recommend it? Sorta kinda. Sorta kinda is my answer. On a scale, on my heart ratings, on how I rate books in my soul, this would in fact still get a 3.75. Like, it would get a 3.75. That's my rating for the book. It was cool. It was cool. It was kosher.
It's cool. It's kosher. It's all good.
But I'm not obsessed. Not obsessed. And that's fine. My favorite moment in the book, they do this like holiday checklist, which was actually really cute. They like do like a bunch of like touristy checklists around the town and like choose different things to do. And it's like this girl makes like a long list and they like check them off one by one leading up to Christmas and a little bit after Christmas, right? But the plan kind of gets thrown out of the window because something else happens. Blah, 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 blah. But my favorite moment in the book is when the main character has to take her younger brothers to a birthday party, and it's like a rock climbing birthday party, right? And of course her love interest works at the rock climbing place. The tension between the two of them while she's climbing that rock wall, not even while she's climbing the rock wall, while he's putting the harness on her, yeah, alright. Yeah, that's a body. I don't care. That's definitely a body. I don't know what to tell y'all. I don't. Oh well. Moving on. Next book that I read this year was The Davenports. The Davenports by Crystal Marquise. Crystal Marquise. Y'all, I don't know.
Wow.
If I had a nickel
For every time
I either pronounced the character's name wrong or the author's name wrong, I'd have a million nickels.
which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right?
Anyway, yeah, I read The Davenports, and that I'm gonna give 4. That's getting 4 hearts from me. I actually really like The Davenports, and I feel like I'm gonna do a better job at explaining it because I liked it better. Anyway, no, The Davenports follows 4 young black girls. It's like a turn of the century like romance-esque novel. Romance, coming of age, finding yourself-esque novel. I realized that we need to have a discussion as black people, because why don't y'all know what coming of age means? That'll be a different video. Anyway, it's like a coming of age story for these 4 black girls in like 1910 Chicago. A, because in Chicago, teens for me. B, because it's coming of age, also teens for me. It follows 2 sisters and then their best friend and their maid, right? 2 sisters, Helen and Olivia, lovely girls. Their best friend, well, the oldest, Olivia's best friend, Ruby, and then Helen, Olivia, and like the Davenport family's maid, Amy Rose. All of them have different love interests. I think the part that like made the book so special to me is like, yes, their love interests are like the main thing that they're like trying to figure out or whatever, but honestly it's really not. Like, I feel like that falls to the side a little bit. Figuring out who they are comes to the forefront, and that was lovely for me. And like that's a common like theme amongst romance books anyway, but I don't know, seeing it in black is always fun. Seeing it in black is always fun. I don't know, it was like, you know, each of them needs something desperately, and it don't got nothing to do with that man most of the time. Well, no, all the time it doesn't, because like either the man symbolizes something a lot bigger they want for themselves, or no, that's usually it. Usually the man symbolizes something much bigger they want for themselves, and they need to figure that out before they figure out who they actually want, right? Which is cool. I don't know, some of the love interests, okay, we talked about everything I liked about the book. I did like a lot about the book, but there were certain aspects that I wish were fleshed out more, and because the duology, I'm assuming that like it's going to be fleshed out more, but sometimes when I was reading the book, it just felt like nothing. It just felt like a bunch of nothing for a long time, which is too much of nothing for too long. And I know it's getting adapted into a TV series, and it's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. However, some of the characters some of the characters sparkled a little bit more than the others, in my opinion. I think Amy Rose stole the show just a little bit, especially in those early chapters, especially early on, when Olivia is just like super rigid eldest daughter. I have to be perfect for my family, and like, trust me, I know what that feels like, sister, but like, okay. Helen is super, I don't want anything to do with that, no, the exact opposite, cool. Ruby is just the best friend in the very beginning, but Amy Rose is like the secret 4th thing. Like, she's like a completely different like side of this lifestyle, which makes it, I think, a lot more interesting, because the 3, okay, Helen, Ruby, and Olivia all live within the same world, within the same realm, so you're seeing 3 different POVs from like the same world. But Amy Rose isn't a part of that because she's their maid. She lives a completely separate existence from these 3, even though Helen and Olivia used to be two of her best friends. She now does their hair, does their baths, does their laundry, does they like, that's interesting. And for me, it was a little bit more interesting to read Amy Rose's chapters, especially in the beginning, than it was the other three girls. And I think that's because, like, I watch Bridgerton. I like Bridgerton season 2. I love Bridgerton. I love Queen Charlotte. But the three girls, Helen, Olivia, and Ruby's stories more closely mirror Bridgerton than Amy Rose's does. So her story feels a lot more fresh to me. It feels fresher. I really like that. And also, Amy Rose, her love interest is the oldest brother in the Davenport family. Best friend's brother is always going to do it for me. I don't know. I don't make the rules, but that's always going to do it for me. Yeah, all the love interests, I told y'all I liked Teddy. That was my review for Holiday Switch, was that I actually liked Teddy. He was cool. But I don't know, the only, like, love interest I really liked for the Davenports was Harrison Barton, who is one of Ruby's love interests. He ate down real bad. I don't know. He ate down real bad. He liked her real bad. No, he really liked her. And it was so sweet. He was so sweet and so kind and so, like, understanding. And he, like, tried with her and wanted to make her better and, like, wanted to make her feel seen and loved as she was and not who her parents wanted her to be, which was lovely. I love that. However, the rest of the love interests, me and John gonna fight. Me and the oldest Davenport boy, I catch him in the street, we throwing hands. I don't know. I don't know. And Olivia's love interest, he was cool. He was cool. I don't know. All the other one pale in comparison to Harrison Barton. And that's just I don't know what to tell you. That's the end of the sentence. Okay, my official rating in Storygraph, sponsor me, is I understand the characters being isolated for most of the story was intentional. Let's talk about that actually, because no way I wrote that down and didn't even talk about it. Because it's four separate POVs, it genuinely feels like you're reading 4 separate books at one point. And the problem with that for me was I severely enjoyed some of the other books versus some of the others. Like, I really liked Amy Rose's chapters. Every time Ruby came on, I was like, sister, pass the phone. I beg you, pass the microphone to somebody else. I don't want to read your story right now. And that's so sad because I really liked her man. That's something I gotta work through in here. That's a problem for me. Please, I understand. That's probably a me problem. But I don't know. She was so. Her chapters in the beginning were so boring. They just were. But either way, the characters were so isolated for most of the book. And, like, yes, that is intentional. I understand that. However, I think the thing that makes, and, like, maybe it's not fair of me to, like, compare it so heavily to Bridgerton, but that's the only frame of reference I have for Regency dramas, especially ones that are revolve around a family. The family aspect in Bridgerton is what makes the show. Like, is what makes the show. Yes, the love interests are there. Yes. And they losing the family aspect as we keep going forward. But what sparked so much joy and so much, like, why it was so well received in the beginning is because of that family aspect. I am a real yapper. I don't care about none of that. None of it. I don't care about none of that. We are family. If we are family in here, you need to be able to let your kids speak freely. I don't care the time. I don't care any of that. None of it. We gonna be in here talking. Period. That's the end of it. And, like, I don't want to give too much of it away, but the historical, like, elements of the story do weigh heavily on the father. And, like, it makes sense that it does, and it makes sense that he's fearful and afraid and doesn't really want to talk about it. But it's like, these are the moments where we need to establish, like, relationship and dynamic between, like, in the family. And, like, it was too many dinners where we just being shut down. Like, it was too many dinners where nobody can actually be themselves, and, like, it was really hurting me. And I know it was hurting them, and, like, maybe it was all intentional, but whatever. I didn't like it. But I do think the show's gonna be better because, like, you can establish a relationship a lot faster, and you don't need bigger scenes like that to always do it, but you can do it quicker in smaller moments so that when those bigger scenes come, they don't feel empty. And, like, that's kind of what it was. Like, the bigger dinner scenes really felt a little empty because the family's not connected. Like, the family just is so isolated. Like, every single like, person in the family is isolated from the other, so the scenes just feel empty. And, like, that's probably how they feel, but I didn't like it. But they make up for all of the, like, missing dynamics and missing links and empty feelings with the family. They make up for it in the end, because the ball scene at the end is great. It's fantastic. Like, I must say, giggling, kicking my feet, twirling my thumbs. The last 100 pages of the book are very good. However, it took us all night to get here. It took us this entire time to get to these 100 pages. And I just, and I'm gonna read the second one because I feel like we just setting up the second book. The book could have been shorter. I must say we could have did all this in about 200 pages. In about 200 pages, we could have got all this done. But I still liked it. I'm still gonna give it 4. Like, I'm still gonna give it 4 hearts. And I am recommending it. I recommend it to everybody. Anybody that asks, read this book. 2 of my friends are reading the book right now. Why? Actually, no. Just one. I lied. Because one of them is a liar. I'm always recommending that book. It's good. I don't know. You have to fire me. I don't know. It was good. All them complaints. Just say the book was good. Favorite moment. Do I have a favorite moment from this book? Oh no, I actually do have a favorite moment. It's Ruby and Harrison Barton when they're in this like store. That's all I'm gonna say, because it's only one scene where they're in a store. They're in this store together. Heart melts.
Oh my God, my Shayla.
And like the thing is, they'll be able to do a lot more with Ruby because she'll have, I'm assuming, more screen time in the show. So like I'll probably like her a lot more because I'll get to like know more about her. And like I'm not saying I don't know nothing about her. What I am saying is her flaws are flaws. Like they big flaws for real. And like, do better. But then again, no, because she's like 19 or something. Do better. I don't know. Okay, those are the 2 books that I've read so far this year. Read completed, right? The 2 books that I have started reading but are not going to be finished by the end of the month. Why? Because at the end of the month right now are The Hunger Games and the 700
Wow.
and the 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I call that girl Evangeline every time. I'm not on camera. Every single time. Every single time that girl's name is Evangeline. Oh well. I must tell you. This is not my first time reading the Hunger Games book. This is my reread as an adult. I read through the whole series after the first book came out. Read all of them, right? Loved them. Loved Catching Fire. And I remember always being Team Peeta. You're not ever going to catch me with a Gale poster. I did, however, have several posters of Peeta. So, you're going to back off me. But I got them as a gift for Christmas, and I got the hardcovers of all of them because I'm a hardcover girl. Don't play with me. Please don't pass me paperback. Please don't pass me a paperback. I don't want one. Thank you. Please. Thank you. But yes. Okay, let's start with The Hunger Games because obviously I'm very excited about that one. Also, the new Sunrise on the Reaping, when Sunrise on the Reaping comes out, y'all are going to have to pry that book. I will be sleeping. That book will be sleeping next to me. You're going to have to pry that book from my hands. I don't know what to say. My life is drastically different from the first time that I read, from like what my life was the first time I read the Hunger Games book when I was 12. And I'm 25 now, so obviously like in 13 years you change and you grow and you become a different person so much. However, reading the Hunger Games book, I am the girl I've always been. Like I am transported back to being 12 again and like seeing myself in like a very similar light. And like I don't know how to explain it other than like you think you become a completely different person as you get older, and then you like go back and you like, I'm gonna start crying. You go back and you like engage with media that meant so much to you at such a like young formative age, and you realize you're the same person. Like yes, I'm older, yes I'm wiser, yes I make better decisions, stuff like that, but like at the end of the day I'm always gonna stay in the Hunger Games. That shit will kill you. At the end of the day, I'm always going to stay in the Hunger Games. Like, it's always going to mean something to me because of what it meant to me at 12. And it's going to mean something to me at 25. But I will say that it hits differently for me as an adult. Seeing how young Katniss is. And, like, at the age of 12, she was feeding her family. Like, when I was reading, the age I was when I was reading that book, that's how old she was, like, feeding her family. Yeah, that's going to hit differently now. Because that's insane. Yeah, I'm only to the point where, she just got her rating. So they just did the, like, the number just flashed around her head. Her 11 and Peeta's 8 just happened. And Haymitch comes out and he goes, Nice shooting, sweetheart. Now that's the scene. That just happened. And the interviews are, like, tomorrow in the book. So that's where I am with that. And I think Josh Hutcherson was an amazing cast for Peeta. I think he did a fantastic job. And also, the people that say that Tom Holland would have played Peeta if it was made now, stop saying that. Stop saying that for my own sake. Stop saying that. PETA is like my one true love. Like OTP. Oh, I haven't heard that in so long. Like, and I hit a cigarette with that one. Yeah, PETA is like my ultimate. Like, people ask me who's like my favorite book boyfriend. It's always gonna be PETA. And because I was 12 years old and in love with him, and I'm 25 and in love with him. I don't know what to say. But he's so much funnier in the book, and I didn't remember how funny and like how like charismatic he was in the book. I remembered it was more, but I obviously didn't remember exactly what it was. And it's so fun to read. It's so fun to read. And Katniss is so skeptical of everything, as she should be. But like, girl, me too. Like, ooh. So that's what I'm reading right now, and I'll probably end up being in the wrap up for next month's video, for next month's like reading wrap up. That's that. And then Seven Husbands of Evangeline. See?
Wow.
Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is cool. I have a really big issue with, I have been talking for so long. I have a very big issue with authors that write black characters strangely. Like, and me and a couple of my friends are like reading the Evelyn Hugo book as like a book club. So like, we were talking about this yesterday about how when authors that aren't black write black characters, they do such a weird job of like saying that they're black. Like, they don't describe white characters the way they describe black characters. They describe white characters normally. They actually don't even ever say they're white. They just say like, me and my brown hair up in a ponytail today. You could have just said her hair was curly or kinky and moved on, and we all would have known she was black. I don't understand why you had to say something else. And like, the thing is, I don't have the book in front of me, so I don't know exactly what the chapter is or exactly what the thing is. I'm gonna try to put it in here so y'all can read it and see what I'm talking about, because like, it was such a strange, and like the concept of time, she was like getting in the shower, washing, conditioning, detangling, styling her hair, and then by the time she got out, the food was here. That took you 30 minutes. That took you 30 minutes. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. Yeah. Other than the weird description and the absent black parent for the main character in Evelyn Hugo, the book's decent. Like, I don't hate it. I don't dislike it. I think it might end up being okay. Like, I think it might end up being decently good. I hate the trend in modern media where there's a biracial character and the black character parent is dead or missing, and like they're only being raised by the white parent. And I understand that that's like real. That's how some people grow up for real. However, for that to be the only representation y'all have of biracial people, okay, that can't be the case. Okay, especially for black ones. Yeah, okay, yeah. We're not even gonna talk about the fact that that'll be another video. That'll be another video. That would be another video. I think that's all I have. I think that's everything. Turns out I missed y'all. Turns out I missed this. I can't talk this long when I'm on TikTok. So this was great, and I got to like really go in depth. If you like listening to me talk, which if you made it this far, wow, congratulations. My TikTok that I talk about books and acting and TV shows and stuff like that should be linked. I'm gonna put it somewhere. I don't even remember how YouTube works. I'll put it in the description. You know, I will probably have another video ready for you next week. No, I'm not gonna lie. I will have another video ready for you next week. And that's all. That's all I gotta say. Thank you and good night. Mwah.